Welcome to a special episode of the MBS Show. I am your host, Norman Sanzo. Joining me today is James Cork.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, James, how are you?
I'm good. I started the day not so good, but now I'm doing great.
Awesome. People might be confused why you're here, but they'll soon know. And you as an artist will help me out a lot in this show.
At least I hope so.
Oh, I know you will somehow, somewhere. Over the rainbow, maybe.
Don't get me going. I will start singing the entire movie if you keep going.
Okie dokie then. So anyway, our guest for this special episode is duo Cartoonist, the creators of Children of the Night. The person responsible are Lionheart Cartoon and Spirit. How are you guys?
Hi there.
Hello.
How have you been? Like, this animation, it's crazy. Like, wow, took a year to make, right?
Something like that. We worked on it for a little bit before production, but ever since production started, it did take close to a year to do. Few things in the middle, like the Brony documentary, but production like this is not something that you can just do overnight. It requires time.
There's no instant replay button or instant finish button. Oh, if that exists, I want it.
I wish one. Now, I really want one.
Oh, I think everybody wants one.
Be done today button, yeah.
So anyway, before we start the interview, I need to ask you the 4 important questions. And question number 1 is, who's your favorite character?
Go right ahead.
My favorite character will be Discord.
Oh, really now? Discord?
Good answer.
Absolutely. Yes, it's by far my favorite one from the show, and my favorite episode is The Return of Harmony. It's a two-parter, but you know.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, we're
So what about you, Lion?
Mine switched quite a lot. At first it was like, I like Twilight, and then, Fluttershy's really cute, and then I suddenly found a bit more of myself in Twilight near the end. I know it's one of the main 6. I enjoy a lot of the characters in there, but I kind of enjoy Twilight more. This Alicorn or not, she's Twilight.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting answer.
I try.
Everybody loves the Twilight, but whenever the question comes, do you like the Princess Alicorn Twilight? Then there's something wrong. Like, they don't answer or they just run away.
Half of the fandom is sharpening their knives. The other half is lighting their torches. Nobody's going to be happy whatever you answer.
Fans, please stay together. It's just one show.
Indeed. So, Lion, what about your favorite episode?
It didn't change all that much, but I even if it's still more of a Fluttershy episode, I think one of the episodes that I still have more fun to watch is still the Stairmaster. This one, I always get a chuckle every time.
Oh, that's an interesting answer. I think that answer doesn't quite pop up a lot. Like, we have a few rare answers here and there, but the Stairmaster, that's really rare.
Yeah, I have never seen anyone say that that's their favorite episode, and it's a good episode.
True indeed.
I enjoy it quite a lot. Just the fact that Sweetie Belle just bursts out singing over the top of her lungs for a lullaby. It's just,
Hush, no quiet.
yeah.
Oh boy.
It's funny how people forget the episode that gave us the Scootaloo is a chicken meme.
Yes, definitely. Scootaloo.
True.
What's your sweets?
I said it already. The Return of Harmony. It's a two-parter, but still,
No,
we
but
can consider it one episode.
I'll consider it as one long episode, an hour-long episode. It still counts in my book.
I will consider it as well. Like Canterlot Wedding or The Crystalline Pumpkin.
Awesome. So anyway, how did you become a fan of the show?
Well, we read a review somewhere in the internet way back, and I have always been a fan of My Little Pony since Generation 1, so I decided to give it a shot. At first, I'm not going to lie, I wasn't thrilled about the show. And I decided to watch one episode. And I don't know what the hell happened. I was watching the entire season 1. The minute I knew it. And I was on the herd. I'm not really sure about what happened in the middle. It was so fast.
Was it that 2-week period where you are like, oh, this show, and then 2 weeks later, wait, where did all these toys came from? Why did I download 5 gigabytes of MLP fan art? Why am I writing a fanfic? Why do I have all the episodes downloaded in 1080p? It's like, what happened here?
Well, it was even worse than that. It was first episode, second episode, not so. not good, but not bad either. And then I don't know what happened. I was watching all the episodes available up to the date at the time, and I decided to draw ponies.
Wow.
Ponies during your
What was the
schedule.
last? What was the episode that was up to date when you started watching? Do you remember that one?
The first one that I watched was the pilot. Was the return of... No, it's not the return of Harmony. It's
What
the,
he means is what episode was playing at the time.
it was...
what the latest?
The latest one at the time was up until Fairweather Friends, I think.
Wow, you have been a brony for longer than I am. That's amazing, awesome. I started with
I
some
think there was like 6 or 7 episodes aired when we started.
No, you started before I did. You were still watching those and singing, and when you were singing Winter Wrap Up in the shower, I remember.
Yeah.
And, I mean, when she was watching the pilots, I happened to just glance like above her shoulders, and I saw Pinkie Pie just running around Twilight, and I thought she was the attention hog, little girly girl of all the village of ponies. I thought, oh, she must be the biatch of the area. So I didn't give it too much credit. I was just, okay, well, it's normal. She used to like that stuff, and she probably just figures, oh, well, let's watch the new thing, see if it's as bad as the previous one. So I didn't pay it much heed, and then before I knew it, I was listening to some remixes on YouTube from some of the songs, and suddenly she was like, hey, is that Dressed for Success? What? Twilight's Dressed. I was listening... I don't know, is that pony thing? It's like Euro brony style right there, it didn't make much sense in my head. The song was just good. She said, oh no, it's a song from the show. And I went, okay. So I decided to watch an episode myself, and it happened to be the favorite ones that I watched. It was up to the Stairmaster at that point. So I watched Stairmaster, and Sweetie Belle sold me to it, literally. And it's been my favorite episode ever since, but it's like, oh, it's not so bad. Why not see where it comes from? And she tells me, no, don't watch the pilot. It's not that good. I went, I want to see where it starts. I didn't stop. I haven't stopped ever since. From 1 to 2. Okay, where's this leading? 3, 4, 5. I could not stop. That's how I just became one of the herd.
It's always started that way. Watch a few episodes, gets you thinking, where does this lead to? Is this going anywhere? And then, like, in the end of season 3, I am liking this. I think I should watch it again.
Technically, it's how it went for me. Season 1 and all that stuff. It got me curious. I saw a lot of fan art popping up on DeviantArt as well. And it got me thinking, what's in this that suddenly makes everyone just draw fan art? I've seen fan art of Naruto and Inuyasha and that kind of stuff, and it didn't get me into it. And I tried to give every show at least one chance. And this one, I figured I didn't really need it. Turns out I really liked it. You can't choose those things.
That is rare. To automatically like a show, that is rare. So, I think the last question for you guys is, what do your family and friends think about your love for the show?
Well, they don't express an opinion much. The thing is that where I come from, being a cartoonist is already a misunderstood profession for making a living. And watching cartoons at a certain age in general is not so well accepted. So it doesn't matter if it is My Little Pony or anything else, like the Ninja Turtles or Animaniacs or classics from the Warner Brothers. It's perceived as childish. My parents and my family have grown to be very tolerant of my profession, and they understand that I make a living of this, and it's what I chose to be. So they don't judge me for watching ponies or watching any cartoon at all.
Oh, okay.
You're lucky.
Well, I make my living out of this.
Of course.
I mean, well, the thing is that at one point or another they will have to bring and bury it. There's no other choice.
Yeah, you're right. Wow.
What about you, Lion?
Well, Well, my folks knew that I was into cartoons for a long time, ever since I took the animation course and everything. For me, watching cartoons is like doing my homework. I have to know what's being made, how it's being made, and that kind of stuff. So when I watch a cartoon, I don't really mind that much. From time to time, I get more hooked on a show than others, which is something that they happen to know very well. Ever since I was a little kid, I was hooked on some shows more than others. So for them, me being hooked on a show like that, they don't really mind it that much. To them, it's like normal. And they realize that all cartoons are made by adults. So to them, it's like just another extension to what some people are doing. I showed them the Brony documentary. They didn't understand it all that much because to them, I'm a cartoonist. Drawing stuff for kids is what I do.
Okay, that's interesting because I always said this about the documentary from Mike Brokoff. That documentary is for people who are not bronies, and basically that is to introduce them to the fandom. And the one that is being done by Saber, Spark, and Paleo, that is for the fandom, the bronies.
That one. What was the name of that again? The Brony Chronicles?
I think so. I don't really remember.
That sounds right. That sounds about right.
Well, the thing is that even if the Brony documentary is not made for the fandom itself, but to introduce people to the fandom, it's meant mostly for people who have heard about the fandom, but they haven't made up their minds yet.
Okay.
So imagine that for someone that comes absolutely out of the blue, presents, okay, these are the bronies. Take all this information. It's kind of overwhelming, you know. All of a sudden, you find all this world with all these implications, and they feel kind of lost. So the documentary is mostly meant for someone who has entered in first contact with the bronies, but doesn't know much about them yet.
Yeah, because my folks, they don't know what it is. My mom doesn't understand English as well as I do. And my dad, well, he knows I draw stuff for little kids. So to him, me being like drawing all those little cutesy things, it's not new. So to them, the Brony doc was kind of redundant in a sense, because they didn't need to know about it. They didn't care all that much about it. They know everybody is entitled to do what they want, so they didn't need to be helped through a thought process to get a judgment out, even if judgment is not necessarily something that is needed.
Okay,
At this point, the Brony documentary has proven to be useful for those Bronies who they don't know where to start to explain this to their close ones, to their friends, family, loved ones. So yeah, it's like, here, have this tool that you can use to help you break it to your parents or to your.
My explanation to them was basically more accurate using that than the documentary itself. But yeah, so it's to put final nail on the answer. Really, they don't mind, and I love that show.
What about your friends? I mean, you guys are watching a show for little girls, so do your friends have any opinion on it?
Well, yes. Some of my friends thought it was strange, and I suckered them into the show. So that is not involving anymore.
Conversion.
Totally.
Welcome to the herd.
Oh my. So, all of your friends or most of your friends?
Actually, most of my friends are already into the show, and the ones that are not, mostly they don't know yet.
Oh.
No, they either don't know, they don't think to ask, or, to them, they already have enough worries that...
I mean, they know that I like cartoons. Again, it's exactly the same thing. They don't care if they are ponies or Bugs Bunnies. For them, it's, okay, Jordana does this. Jordana is a cartoonist. She's an animator or a character designer. And she likes this world. So, it's my thing for them. Be it ponies or not.
My friends are would be more interested into hearing what I do for commissions and personal work to others than the ponies. To them, it's probably going to be another cartoon, like most of the ones we watched when we were kids. Everyone in my circle of friends used to watch cartoons when we were kids, be it the first generation Transformers or Bionic 6 or all of those afternoon cartoons that would play.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Like recently I've bought this Power Ranger Morphle belt from Toy Wheel. It cost me a lot. It basically cost me a lot. And some of my friends, they were, oh, you bought that? Oh, that's cool. Like, nothing really. But some of the friends that knew what it was, like, they say, oh my god, you bought that? That's awesome. But I understand. It's basic.
Some bragging rights now, some street cred.
Oh, that and money gone from my wallet.
That too.
Yes. No, but
At the end, I don't have much to show them. Well, I could still show them children, but that's... I'd have to send them a mail because they're probably not going to notice it right away.
Oh, children is something awesome. We'll touch on that a bit later on. So I think, well, it's going to be much sooner than later. So anyway, thanks for answering the 4 important questions. And oh my, this is going to be really fast and jumping to topic. I guess it's going to be guest time right now. And into this guest time, we have you guys who created Children of the Night. For those who do not know who you are and what you do, mind explaining to them?
Right ahead, sweets.
Well, we are duo Cartoonist. We are a marriage of Canadian people.
Mm-hmm.
And we have been into cartoons since forever. It's our profession. So we did a short film that is called Children of the Night. And it's a thing that we did mostly for our portfolio to showcase when the day that we will be looking for a job. And it's about Princess Luna taking 12 little foals into an unknown land.
Oh, you want me to continue?
Yes. Yes.
Well, I'm the second half of that little duo, one of which did 99% of the animation that is seen in the video itself, which took quite a bit of time. And as far as everybody's concerned, well, Luna does not take the foals to the moon. It's a magical place. It's to start a new colony. None
It's
of them
a
are
far, far away land, but not that far away.
It's in a galaxy far, far away.
What do you mean a galaxy? You're going to confuse them more. No. It's just a far, far away land in Equestria, not the moon.
No, not the moon.
I think we need to open the map of Equestria to figure out where they are.
They're outside the map that we know now.
Yeah.
Okie dokie then. So,
That map of Equestria you find, it's not there.
from what I understand that, Lion, you do 95% of the animation?
Well, I'm a traditionally trained animator. It's what I love to do. That's why I'm in cartoons. I love to draw. I just love to draw, and I love to bring things to life, even though they're not supposed to have life breathed into them. Cartoons character, talking ponies, come on. So I love doing that thing. And seeing as I'm the only trained animator, I was the only trained animator for children, most of that task ended up on my shoulders. I did get some requests to get some help, but seeing as it's a project that was for us, for our portfolio, accepting some help, it wouldn't have worked all that well. It's like, oh, suddenly when you're in trouble, you just call out to mom. No. So, yeah, all of what's moving in there, chances are, especially if it's the Foals or Luna, it's me.
Oh, okay. So, Spirit, what did you do? Because I didn't quite hear, or you didn't say what you did in the project.
Well, what I did for the project was first, I work mostly for pre-production. My post is concept artist, so what I did is painting the backgrounds, designing the characters, and once that the stage was achieved, well, I forgot to mention most of the storyboard. Let's see. To understand what I do exactly, let's think of me as like an icebreaker. We start with nothing, a blank sheet of paper. I am the one that will break the ice, that will start throwing the ideas into that paper, and throwing them without discretion. Then we will sort, okay, this works, this not, this works, this not. It's all picking and choosing. Then my role will be laying out those backgrounds as thumbnails. We have little post-it stickies to start that process. And once we have a clear idea of what we want, we start putting that together into an animatic. My role there is still kind of big because I help Lion choosing and editing that animatic, so it will be timed with the music. Then I designed the characters to fulfill a certain role to make sense within that world. And the color keys, which is the most difficult thing that I did for this project. Once all that was done, Lion was animating already before I finished to paint the backgrounds. And I started to learn Flash because I felt really, really bad that I couldn't help him more. My animation training was non-existent, sadly. I have waited 10 years to regain my animation training, to finally get the formation that I always wanted to get, and now I'm getting it. But I started with Children of the Night, and I started on the building stage. So the falls that you see, as well as Luna, are 80% my work. I make the puppets.
Ah, that's interesting. So
It was a great help, so I could concentrate on making things move while she was working on another section, which is how it was for most of the project. She had the main idea originally, like, let's use that song and do something with it, and I kind of warmed up to it, and she already had some ideas behind it, and with the little post-its and all the stuff that she had done previously, we managed to get that animatic done. And I couldn't just use those still images. I needed to get a bit more in depth to make sure that what we were choosing in terms of camera angles and shots and everything was somewhat coherent, and it would work. We did manage to get into some little roadblocks thanks to that, which we were able to remove and move forward thanks to that. The teamwork that we had working on that storyboard and animatic was really invaluable. That's what made the whole project go forward as quickly as it did. And then once that was done, my part of the job after that was to work out the camera angles a bit more precisely. I did most of the backgrounds there in terms of line art. All of the backgrounds in the video, well, except for the introduction. The intro is all Spirit. That's what she did. That's 100% her.
Oh, you mean the intro with the classic?
Yeah. The storybook images and everything, that's all her work, including the pony that's there, Gary. She's the one that animated it. Thanks to the little pointers that she got earlier and seeing me work, she managed to get something out of it. I could have, come back after her and tried to smooth some things out, but I wanted it to be all hers. So I kind of forgone that. I was not expecting the kind of response that we did get, but I don't regret my decision not to go and tinker her stuff in there. I wanted it to be all hers. But all the backgrounds in the video were line arted by me. I'm more of the perspective expert in there. All the grids and everything, all the little Dutch angles and camera lens distortions. That was all me and my little line arts, which after that, she used the color keys that she had made and colored all of those. Everything's a painting in there.
Oh, okay. So here's an interesting question. I heard that you said Spirit did the puppet for the film. So did you do all the puppets?
That will be correct. Well, actually, when we start, it's all about the animation technique. When Lion started to animate the short, the video. Sorry, I get messed up. When Lion started to animate the project, he established a technique that is known as build per shot, which means that Luna is built and her symbols are built just to fulfill this scene.
Oh.
The technique of build per shot is extremely time consuming because you constantly have to draw new symbols, so that slowed down the project tremendously. At one point, I realized when we started what we call the night ballet sequence, when it is when the Falls and Luna fly across the sky all together. He couldn't perform that without a puppet, without a formal puppet. So I studied the heck of every building site that I could find. I gathered all the information, and through the months, I gathered some expertise in puppet making, and also took all the pointers that I could possibly get. And when I felt ready, I made him 15 puppets.
Wow.
Yeah, something like that. But to your listeners that would just go, oh, of course you have to have puppets. Keep in mind, it was our very first real big project of the kind, and we didn't completely understood what we were getting into. Professionals of the industry or not, there are things that we are not used to doing, and this is one of them. It was our first real big-scale project, and we didn't really know. I thought that by going per shot, we would be saving time, as instead of doing a complete puppet and have some of the symbols in there never being used, it would have been better to create only what we need, which was a mistake, because if I was looking for something and I wasn't sure, I didn't have any base symbol to modify and adapt to what I really needed, so that kind of was a mistake. But in the end, I mean, we did manage to get back on it, like we talked earlier about the Brony documentary, which is a place where I learned a lot of stuff, including some really good tips from Jan Animations, and I went back through all of what I had already done over the video, and in the course of February, March, I think till mid-April, I redid most of what I had already done, just because it didn't look like something that I was able to do now. It just wasn't up to par. So thanks to that, and the puppets that she did, and all of the work that was done behind, we managed to correct all of what was poorly made, should I say, and increase the speed at which we were going. I mean, if I redid everything up till April, and we had like, half the video almost ready. So I redid like the first half in record time thanks to that.
Actually,
and then the other half.
Counting that we decided to redo many scenes, the only thing that we had done in April was 5 shots out of 40.
No, not that. So we had more than that.
No, we had 5 shots. The rest were all tinker or recycled.
No, we had we were up to shot 24.
Well,
the whole orphanage scene had been done, and she was already flying up. We were almost ready to start the ballet.
Yeah, I mean, that was before we decided to retouch. When we decided the retouches, the shots that remained first pass were 5 or 6.
Oh, yeah, after that, we had only 5 or 6.
So practically, we were in March, and we decided to go back to square one and try harder this time.
I already had the timing, so I saved a lot of time on this, but with the new puppets, everything just went much, much quicker. The whole orphanage scene was not retouched. Well, perhaps just a little bit. Just a little bit was changed in there, but nothing as drastic as, say, the opening scene, which was completely different than our original idea. And then the shot where she appears, I added more movements, better head, and then the other shot was she's just, the voice crack shot that I redid as well, which wasn't all that looking all that good at that time. So to all those who want to make a video like this, prepare everything in advance. You're going to thank yourself for this. Don't try and go...
Yeah, never think that you can go without the puppets. You need the puppets.
Yes, don't go on a build-per-shot basis. You're going to just fall flat on the floor.
For those who don't really understand, when you say build per shot, it's like every shot you have, I remember you saying 40, right?
Yes. Well, build per shot, it's a technique in which... Okay, how do I explain that?
Hold on. When we started, we had one angle of Luna, just one.
Yeah.
I had made a single angle of the puppet. Everything was there, all of the symbols have been made, but it was only one shot. So I figured, let's start from this and create as I need. Mm-hmm. So the moment she was slightly changing in her angles, and suddenly the symbols that was there originally didn't fit, I had to create a new one on the spot, which was kind of distracting because I was trying to concentrate on animating and I could not because I had to stop, create a symbol, and start animating again and see if the symbol worked really well, which was somewhat of a mistake.
Yeah, usually a build per shot you start with one. Okay, imagine a cartoon character and it's only in one angle. And you are going to add symbols like arms that bend or hand positions into that shot, and it's going to work. It's a build per shot technique. However, if you use a puppet it's a one single animation file in which you have 10 poses of the character. So you have Luna in frontal, three-quarter back, full rear.
What we call a rotation.
What we call a rotation.
Or a turnaround.
So having the puppet, having a full functional puppet, it's kind of basic for a production in animation. In Flash, at least.
Oh, okay, so how they do in DHX is basically what you guys said, of a rotation thing, right?
Yeah.
Yes, precisely. Sometimes they do the build per shot technique, especially on Pinkie Pie, which is a very random character.
Yeah.
So for doing some crazy stuff, sometimes they just take one angle of Pinkie and start adding symbols as they go for one particular shot. But otherwise, they are always going to use Puppet.
Ah, so that's how they save time and effort then.
Precisely.
I'm certain that they have a full turnaround for every character. If not even a top-down view, a three-quarter top-down view. I'm not sure, but looking at the show and remembering most of the scenes that I've seen, I'm convinced that they have a full turnaround and then some. Most of the studios, if you look at Disney Studios or any other studio that still do 2D drawn animation, they're going to have a turnaround sheet as a reference point for all the animators and other layout artists that are going to work on the show.
Okay, understandable. So I'm going to hand it over to James. You have any questions?
Well, I was thinking of a couple. For example, I wanted to know about the animation style and the character design, and when it comes to the artwork. I am feeling that the animation, it has a lot of personality to it, and that it does have the models of the characters with the colored outlines, but then they move differently. So my question is, were you guys trying to go for show accurate animation and then decided to go into a different style, like make it more personal, or were you going for personal style of animation from the get-go?
That's a complex question. I think that our goal with this project was, we said it from the very beginning, we are going to push this thing as far as we can, and for once in our lives, see how far can we go.
We wanted to give the maximum that we wanted to show what we're capable of, and that means pushing the limit. If it meant breaking Flash, well then let's break Flash. We didn't very much care about it, but the animation itself, every animator is going to put a bit of himself into whatever he animates. So Luna's probably going to have more of a bit of my quirks, and then some of the Folds will be a bit of more of my quirks as well, depending. Trying to imitate the show style is kind of difficult when you're not used to it. The show moves in a certain way, and no doubt all of the animators that work on the show still put a little bit of themselves in there. So getting the very show-accurate style is not something that one person alone can really do. You can get something very, very close. But if you look, say, at the way Luna moves, I tried to go a bit further than the 4 or 5 frames that they use for a head turn. I wanted to do it to be smooth. The song is slow and entrancing. It was important for the character to follow those lines and try to, it may sound cliche and a bit weird, but, be the song. Because she's singing, after all, it's supposed to come from herself. Mm-hmm. So if she didn't reflect the song in her own movements, I don't think it would have sold very well that she's the one singing and that she really means well all through that, despite the song's lyrics. The animation itself is something that I found very difficult to do in Flash for several reasons. Even if it's not something, there are some places I don't like very much. I couldn't do very much better anyway. At one point you have to just say stop and move on, because you can't push more with the energy that you have.
The thing is that Lion comes from a tradition of hand-drawn animation,
mm-hmm.
and for a traditional animator, getting stuck with Flash sometimes is a little bit traumatic. Lion thinks about angles, slow rotations, and about all the theory of animations that let you do a series of things with one character. Usually a hand-drawn animator that is classical and 2D classical worries about keeping the character on mobile, not downsizing the character when animating, and a series of things. When you are in Flash, you have an entirely different set of concerns. Like, for example, that your twins don't move your character in straight lines, but force arcs instead. It's a completely new mindset. So, Children of the Night looks different because it's taken from a classical 2D animationist point of view. We try to make what we will draw.
Yeah, I know how the character would look if I draw it.
It definitely does look like it has a base of 2D animation applied to Flash, which that's kudos to you guys, because I don't know, I had no idea you did it with Flash. it really felt like you were using 2D animation and then digitally painting every single one of the frames. For a moment I thought that's why it took you so long to finish it.
We could have gone that way. I did think about it very seriously for some shots, but there are a few shots in there that have been hand-drawn. Some shots are actually a mix, a composition of Flash and hand-drawn animation. I have a few live stream that I did where I did draw Luna's wings by hand and then colored it and imported it over the Flash Luna. Just because I couldn't get the same feeling that I would get with Flash as I would with hand-drawn animation. So I developed a little 2D raster/vector technique to help me go through some of those, and it helped a lot. But
that is amazing.
When you work in Flash, there are some things that you don't have to think about. Like, for example, keeping all the colors the same. You don't have to worry too much about that. Flash does it for you. You don't have to recolor everything. If you have a character's head and you just want to translate the head, you don't have to redraw the head all the time. You just use those symbols and move them. Flash has a lot of strength, but also has some weaknesses in which that as soon as you get out of what the symbol is made to do, you're forced to make another, and you have to respect a lot of things to make that new Flash symbol match with the rest and believable as well. Yeah. So that's the hard thing. So while the show is made in Flash and has a very unique style, the video itself takes that and adds a little bit to it, which is probably why it looks, slightly different show style, but not yet. Not quite.
I am impressed because I know artists who will give a part of their soul just to learn how to draw wings properly. The fact that you put those wings like traditionally animated, traditionally drawn, and then put them into the animation, it looks so seamless. That is amazing. Okay. And I have
only the wings. There are many things in that thing that you wouldn't tell that they are hand-drawn, and they are hand-drawn.
Oh, I don't know if I want to know. I am a curious guy. So, yeah, go ahead. Like, what else was hand-drawn?
Well, Luna's mane, for an instance. The mane that you see when she's flying across the skies is not... it's vectorized, but it was hand-drawn. Completely.
Wow.
That's the third technique we developed for this. Some shots, like when she dives off the tower, one of the shots in there, I realized the mane was like very 2D. It was super flat. It was moving like a huge chunk. And the waves that it does in the wind, they weren't matching the speed at which she was going. So I went and drew her mane hand-drawn. And then using a little vectorizing program, we put all of those lines back into vectors so that I could adjust if there were any trouble, just because of the size. Vectors has this extra strength in which you can zoom in and out, blow up or shrink without losing too much quality. It's all, they're mathematical curves, so it's very easy. Whereas if I do something hand-drawn, which was going to be a raster, if I blow it up, I'm going to see the pixels. So I had to be, for all of those little hand-drawn things that were not vectorized afterwards, you can't see the difference on the full resolution video, because it's the exact resolution at which it was made. If I were to show you, say, the Flash file...
And you zoom in, you will know at first glance where it is hand-drawn and where it is vectored. You're going to
see the pixels of one and the vectors of the other.
But it's part of the cheats, actually.
Yeah.
That's part of the charm of working with video with only one resolution on the video. Mm-hmm. And also, what else? The falls that go into the moonlight, Trotamundo and Moondancer, they are entirely hand-drawn. No Flash there.
When Moondancer jumps off her window, all of that was done hand-drawn. I didn't have a complete puppet of Moondancer at that time, and I figured, okay, why do all of the symbols when I can just draw her the way I want her to be drawn? So she jumped down with the hair flowing and everything, and she just went up to the moon. And Trotamundo, the guy from under the bridge, a rotation like this, just making character turn in Flash, means you have to have
a puppet of 10-point turnaround.
Well, a matrix buttload of layers just to have what was back in front now. So that's very complex. It's a nightmare in terms of layers and determining what to put where. So because I know how it's supposed to look at a certain angle, I just decided to draw him. And it's not a very long shot, so it just goes and turns around and suddenly steadies and flies up.
So there are two lessons to learn from here. Is that one is that it doesn't matter what animation style you're using, is the one you're more comfortable with, and not you cannot use just one animation style because each one will do something better than the other, or it will be more efficient than the other. Like how Flash is so limited to do the rotations, while hand-drawn animation will just do that in the amount of frames that it takes to do that rotation.
Yes, I believe that's the lesson to learn from here. What we did mostly is, okay, we pushed Flash as further as we wanted, but still it wasn't enough to fulfill what we needed. So we went out of Flash, we cheated. I'm doing quotations with my fingers right now. But that's precisely it. It's not about doing awesome with one single tool. It's about, okay, I want to do this. What does it take to do this? Does it take TV Paint? I'm going to use TV Paint. Does it take After Effects? I'm going to use After Effects. That's the point.
Yeah, nobody said you were confined to just one tool to achieve your goals. If it means pushing your art or your craft, or to show what you can do better, well, better than you usually do, just go out and try some things. Some people prefer to use Paint Tool Sci, or they're like Photoshop like nobody's business. Others will just plain try and animate into After Effects, which is something quite possible, but there are strengths and weaknesses in everything, and if you can find those and find something to patch those weaknesses with something else and still feel comfortable with it,
go for it.
Go for it. Nobody's going to think less of you, especially if the end result is worth it.
Yeah, the only one who puts limitations when you're doing artwork is yourself.
Exactly. You're your own worst critic.
Yeah, definitely. I can totally agree. I had another question regarding the length of the animation. It's a very short video. It's as long as the song is. It's like 4 minutes and 30 seconds. But in my opinion, that only makes the animation look even better, because the shorter you have a video, the more time you have to work on like adding details and profiling and making everything better. Like John Lasseter said once, he'd rather see 10 seconds of very good animation rather than 10 minutes of very sloppy animation. So my question is, did you guys have the length of the video into account when animating it, or did you just don't take that into account at all?
Well, we don't have very much of a choice. We have a song that we want to animate completely over it, and we can just say, well, let's cut this because it's too long or too tedious. If we started thinking like that, we wouldn't have much done, and even less that very big last shot where she just goes and disappears into the moonlight.
Well, we did took the length of the video in count when we decided to go, when we set the ambitions for the project and the objectives. We knew it was a 4-minute video that we had in our hands, so we set reasonable objectives, and they weren't so reasonable by the end of the production, but the thing is that if we were going to do a 10-minute video or a series in the internet, we wouldn't approach it this way. We will have to calculate how much time are we going to put into that, how much time of production are we talking about, which kind of product do we need to release, how fast do we need to release it. Yes, the length of the video, you have to know it beforehand, and you have to set the ambitions for the project beforehand.
That's
part of the planning.
Yes. But seeing as it was our first very big endeavor, we didn't know everything. But once you have the animatic and your planning and everything is down, you have to forget where the end of the tunnel is and take it one shot at a time. Because if you try and look at it globally, if you try to look at the big picture, you're going to get very depressed very fast. You're not going to see anything being done, and you're not going to feel like you're going forward.
Okay, so I got a question here. I
will save my question for later.
Okay, I got a question here regarding about the song. What made you pick this song?
That's your cue, sweet.
Well,
stole my question.
Oh, sorry.
The song. The song is something that I have had in my playlist for so long. Discovered by Kate the Great, or Erutan, as she is known nowadays. I love the song to bits, and I love the movie Hocus Pocus. It freaked me out when I was a child. I was scared of the movie. Laugh at me. And I always thought that this song had...
those teeth scare me as well.
No, the reason why I laugh is because it's not laughing at you, but it's because that I remember the show or the movie, and when I showed my friend who was not a brony this video, he said, "Hey, I know that song. Where is it from?" And I told him it was from the movie Hocus Pocus, and he said, "Ah, that's cool." Anyway, my friend said the video was awesome.
Oh, thanks.
Please go on.
Well, the song is something that I loved for years, and when we saw the episode of Luna Eclipse of season 2, it fit her so well. So I started to mash a little story in my mind about in which circumstances will Luna sing this song, and a story started to form about, okay, before she became the Mermoons, Equestria was recovering for the Discordian period, and she decided to take the Falls away to a new kingdom because she thought it was best, and Celestia followed, and that was the conflict that originated named Mermoon, ultimately, and the same conflict that made the ponies think that she devoured the children when she really didn't. They just ran away.
Okay.
So that appeared like that. I just listened to the song and I start thinking about it, and an idea took place, and we went through with it.
Oh, that is interesting. That is interesting.
Really cool. I have a question. May I interject?
Yes, please.
Well, because you love this movie so much, and you work in animation, and you have done this video, you guys must have, or at least clearly have, a passion for movies, or you might like movies, right?
You'd have no idea. Of course we have a passion for movies.
Brilliant. In that case, what is your favorite movie?
You just asked Casper. A movie matters.
The 1990s Casper movie with Christina Ricci and
Bill Pullman.
Ooh, good answer. Wow.
That is my... Well, that's my own personal favorite. And yours, Fritz?
Well, it's difficult to just pick one. There are cartoons and there are movies.
Oh, come on. You know the
animated features. You know, if I had to choose of all the movies and everything, the one that is my favorite and probably had the most impact on me was Ferngully, The Last Rainforest.
Oh,
I remember that one.
Oh, brother.
There's a unique animation cell of Krista.
Ooh.
No way, really?
Yes, I got an animation cell from the movie.
That's awesome.
$83 at the time.
It was so worth it.
That's a piece of history you have right there.
Yes, most animation cells are unique in their own way, but this one's from my favorite movie, and I managed to get a little bit of it.
Oh, that is cool. That is cool. I mean, I remember Tim Curry being in that video, in that movie, and oh my, is Tim Curry fun to watch.
Even when he's a puff of smoke.
I know.
He's a puff.
I think I have a question that I think that everyone is asking. In this video, when Luna is kind of importing children into the new land, why is she only taking children, or is it open to everyone? Like, why didn't any adults follow suit?
She called, only 12 answered. Those 12 were children. They could have been adults, but only 12 children answered. Each children, well, I will have to develop the concept a lot further, probably write a fanfiction to explain why every single child, well, not every single child, not can't do that, why those 12 children decide. There are 3 characters that I believe they are the most noticeable ones that look like they came from the pony creator, the ones on the orphanage. Those were characters that, because of their markings, were rejected by Pony Society, and so are rejected by fans.
Oh.
Oh.
That was a little twist that I included there. I knew that people weren't going to like those characters.
Well, not that much.
I
Well,
like
not that
them.
much. I knew that they were going to say that they came from the pony creator or something like that. It's totally intentional. Because they were rejected by society, so they are rejected by the fans. You are getting in the point of view of the ponies of Canterlot who didn't like those children. Those were most favorized by, the most likely to follow Luna and to leave their life behind in Canterlot, in which they had not such a bright future, and trying something new. Moondancer was very poor, and her family couldn't afford her to dance and prance, which is what she was meant to do. So she decided to leave everything behind and went to an unknown place where maybe she could be what she was meant to be.
Oh, I see.
And so on and on. Each child, one story.
Oh.
No wonder I felt so sad for the children in the orphanage. I was, but no, don't hate them. They're cute. I'm very tolerant when it comes to character design. I have drawn such, those OCs with bad wings, black and red, and dragon eyes. Yeah, I have drawn so many of those. Commissions. So yeah, I'm very tolerant when it comes to that. I was feeling so bad for them. I'm so happy that they're living with Luna.
Yeah, but the fact that people didn't like, coming from the comments that we received, that the children colors didn't match the style of the show, of course they didn't match. They were meant not to belong to the ponies world and to be brave enough to try something else instead.
But in the end, they still have the markings that normal horses would have. Just look at Dipsqueak.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Yeah, that's another thing. The markings those children have are kind of special, but not so special when coming to equine races. I actually consulted an equine encyclopedia when doing the markings to see if they were possible or not.
Oh.
They are possible. Very rare in that combination, but not implausible.
Oh, I see. And
Wow.
I heard a lot of comments, and especially the Cutie Art Crusader interview. They say that kidnapping children, I don't see it, because in one scene there's a filly under the bridge, and clearly he is a homeless kid, and saying that he's being kidnapped, I don't think so.
Yeah, he's taken to a better place.
From
Yes.
what, exactly? I like to call it surprise adoption.
Surprise adoption.
Yay!
Surprise adoption. Yay, you're not going to be adopted.
Yeah, definitely. They all chose, however, to follow Luna. Like she said, she called, she sent out the spell, and because the adults and most of the other kids were afraid of the night, in their dreams, subconsciously they felt afraid, so they didn't follow. Others just went, why not? Orphans, poors, just homeless.
It's just the start of a story. It's not about the moral principle of taking children away.
Yes.
If you look a little bit at the tradition of storytelling, how many stories turn around the fact of children being taken away?
The Hamelin
Bible-
flautist.
Yeah, the Hamelin flautist, that's one of absolutely. If you twist it a little bit, the sirens from Ulysses, which
From
takes
Ulysses, the Cyrus,
yeah,
from
which
Ulysses and Sinbad.
absolutely, that's another example. You have also
The Pied Piper?
which ones? There are so many characters that attract others through a song, be to their doom or be to a call for adventure. And it's the start of an adventure. For example, another one. If you take An American Tale from Don Bluth, do you know the Fievel movie?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, that movie.
That movie.
That movie is
Well-
a trauma.
It's true that Fievel is not called by anyone and that he gets lost into the boat because of his own decision. It's a little bit what happened to the children. It's the call for adventure, that irresponsible moment in which the child decides to go away and to know better than anyone else and to take responsibility for his actions. That's what the children did. Luna called, they followed. They were in control all the time. They could have turned back in the middle of the flight and go back to their beds. But they didn't. They decided, I'm going to try this. I'm going to follow this big pony here, and I'm going on for an adventure. So that is how it should be seen. Not oh my God, Luna kidnapped back to a bunch of children.
Yeah,
Come on, we have seen worse in cartoons.
That's just
True.
big speculation. They forget that
If
they're
it makes you,
questions.
if it makes you feel better, I say it as the first one that they're going on an adventure and then it's taking them to a better place. I mean, look at that poor pony. He was living under a bridge and she's taking him to a better place. I mean,
True,
feel happy
indeed.
for it.
True.
No, the thing is that he cannot do much worse than that.
Oh,
Yeah,
It's
definitely. I
It's
agree.
like to improve a little bit.
true.
Yeah, it's that what we're showing is like just a little bit of a greater whole, and those that start to speculate without really knowing what's behind it, it's kind of sad. They are entitled to their opinion and their own little conclusions, but in the end, oh my God, she's kidnapping. What proof do you have? You see something and suddenly you like judge right away. It's their choice.
Luna is young, makes a rash decision, the children are young, and there's no good or bad in Children of the Night. There are characters who have points, valid points, and who make mistakes along the way.
Mm.
And that unfolds a chain of events that we know how it's going to end. Luna is going to be sent to the moon by Celestia.
Yeah, in the end, even in the show, you get strong points that Luna's not perfect, Celestia's not perfect.
True indeed.
Who says they're
Yeah,
going to be perfect part of the story?
And if people complain that the stories don't connect, I mean, you can fill in the holes yourself. You know what's going to happen. You know that this thing is not going to have a happy ending because Luna is going to end up in the moon for 1,000 years, and the children are likely going to come back to what they used to where they used to belong.
Yeah, true.
Not exactly. They are not coming back. If you watch the intro, many people are confused about that. Maybe I twisted it a little bit too much. My fault there.
Oh, no.
But the intro is actually the ending of the movie.
Mm.
Gary is writing a book. It's writing the story of the Children of the Night. She's not in Canterlot anymore.
Basically, it's somewhere beyond
She's
Equestria.
gonna
Then.
live in some place that we don't know where it is, but it's not Canterlot anymore. We're not in Kansas anymore.
And you guys mentioned something about Call to Adventure. You guys remember the classic cartoon Dungeons and Dragons?
Yes.
Yeah. Basically,
So that's another one. The Dungeon Master suckered those 6 kids into going to his world.
I know.
And he's a kidnapper.
that was even worse. That was even.
That was a very popular trend in the 90s. You used to send little children to do your job. Like, do you remember Nightmare?
Oh.
I remember Planet.
I remember the
Captain Planet.
movie in which Firefly kidnaps a little girl, 12 years old, to get rid of her problems.
Wasn't Megan?
Well, yeah, that's it. Technically,
And then she went on to direct that.
Megan.
Yeah. And then she went on to be story editor of season 3. Oh, wait, no, wrong Megan. Anyway,
What did we talk about? I kind of derailed that one. Oh my goodness.
Like kidnapping.
I do have a question.
Oh,
I do have a question regarding art.
please do.
Yeah.
So, okay, of course, you love drawing ponies. Who doesn't love drawing ponies when you're an artist in this fandom? But we all have that pony we love to draw and that pony that we hate to draw. So, in your case, what is your favorite pony to draw and your least favorite pony to draw?
My least favorite pony to draw. That's a good question. Okay, my favorite pony to draw, I believe it will be Discord.
Oh,
Wow.
Pony.
Yes, because
Well,
he's
I
not
mean-
pony, he counts.
Pony head, it counts. Sorry.
I
And pony
guess
hoof.
Pony.
Well, my least favorite to draw, the one that gives me more trouble, I have to think about it. That would be Twilight.
what?
Why?
Damn square hair.
That's fair.
If they
Oh,
run out of space when drawing Twilight. And also the almond eyes. I have a little bit of trouble when trying to position her head.
yeah, those eyes. Ellie, one of the creators of Friendship is Witchcraft. She defined the problem with Twilight Sparkle's eyes perfectly. That she looks like an evil Winnie the Pooh because she has bug eyes. And I'm like, yeah, she does look like a bug. Like her eyes are so weird.
I just.
Tendency that the Powerpuff Girls have, and it's very, very easy to draw the eye just a little bit too large or a little bit too to the left. So that destroys the construction of the character, and it's kind of when drawing the ponies by hand, it's very difficult to keep those features in place.
That's one of the strengths of Flash again.
Yeah.
You put the character in model. But as far as drawing them, they all have the same basic principle and or body shape. What makes them more difficult to draw, depending, is either the eye shape or the hair. And you can draw just about any pony you want. It's getting them to look just right that is difficult. I don't see them as hard to draw, but all of them are a challenge in their own little way. I can't say I have a favorite to draw. For some reason, I like to draw Fluttershy. Her eyes are different enough that even if you mess up a bit of the hair or something else, you're going to notice that it's Fluttershy. But as for the rest, trying to put the hat on Applejack is not always an easy feat. Putting a hat on anything is something that's difficult in its own right. But with just you can figure out, it's Applejack, It's they're not all that darn hat. They're not. I don't have a favorite to draw. I don't hate to draw any, but they all have their little challenges. I did draw Fluttershy more than most, and I could say Luna too, considering the animatic.
Yeah, I was like, if you don't like Luna, when you had to draw her so many times, I think you have a problem there.
Well, I didn't draw her completely. Actually, no, that's not true. I drew her completely once for the video, really. But most of the time it was just like, say, the hair or some other little parts.
Yeah.
Mostly the hair and the wings. But no, I don't have a favorite to draw. And I don't hate to draw one really, really bad. It's just a matter of getting used to it.
But ask which one we hate more to build.
Which one do you hate more to build, then?
Well, it depends. When you are doing a building for a character, it's an entirely different story.
Oh, the Terralicious pony. Oh my god, that one was a bit of a nightmare. She has that kind of a tarp on her, that little Greek toga thing with the teeth. Tara, and that one was really hard to build and to try and keep built well enough that it was animatable.
Oh my.
Wow, and it looks so simple. It looks like such a simple design, but
no, the
simple
longer
ones.
If they have clothes on them, you are doomed. If they have the longer the hair, the harder the build. If they have clothes, you complicate it a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And whatever paraphernalia they have on them, it complicates it one step further. So.
Yeah, because it's one more thing to animate. Even though they all have the same body type, and you always have the same base pony, should we say? There's always a little bit of a difference in there that's going to make it a bit more of a challenge. The Terralicious pony, the hair was 5, I think, different sections that just to make sure that it was flowy enough in case she had to make that kind of a Linda Blair move with her head, just and the hair goes everywhere.
Oh my!
Wow!
I'm looking at a scene in Children here, and it's the scene where Luna is kind of diving from the tower, and there's this one part where the camera shakes for a few seconds, and it splits to another scene. Like that scene, I'm looking at it, and that was well made, and it was very quick that the viewer didn't really notice it or didn't really pay attention to it. It was, how do I put this? It's easily missed, but it does feel like it belongs in the shot.
Well, the thing is that when we decided to add all of that into that shot, you won't notice it necessarily because it will feel right to your eyes. But you will notice it if something feels wrong. So our job there wasn't making something awesome to feel right. It was avoiding your eyes feeling wrong.
But it could be because that I'm replaying the same scene over and over and over again. No, but seriously, from what I see, that was a pretty interesting scene where Luna was diving and the camera was shaking and Luna was blurry. I think that fits well in that scene.
When something moves very close to the camera, not only is it probably not going to be in focus, but you're going to have to put something there that won't attract the eye too much. When you move your hand very quick in front of your eyes, you're going to see some kind of a motion blur that it's called. And to simulate the effect of speed, that was something that was necessary to add. When we did the early test and there wasn't any motion blur there, I didn't think too much of it at first, but as soon as it was added, I went, no, I won't go back after that, because it seems right. It belongs there, and it works. And the camera shake, well, that was a little addition later as well.
By the way, if you're looking at the scene, look at the clouds, they move.
Ooh, really?
Yes.
Now? This I need to see again.
If the last frame of the shot, and you put it back to the first frame of that shot, you're going to notice a difference in the clouds. They move very little, very subtly, but they still move.
And the stars twinkle.
The stars twinkle almost everywhere.
Ooh.
So some shots were more complicated to put the star twinkling in, but most of the shots have twinkling stars.
Ah, because when you mentioned the cloud scene, I do see that when she's at the top of the tower, but I don't really notice it when she's coming down.
You mean the twinkling?
Yes,
Or the clouds.
both of them actually.
Well, the thing is that you're not supposed to be aware of the clouds or about the twinkling of the stars. But if they wouldn't move, you will think by the end of the shot that something's wrong with the shot. Something's missing, and you wouldn't know what. You wouldn't know what it is. But we know it's those little things. They are not part of the action. They are not telling the story. But oh my God, if they are not there, you're going to notice. And
Yeah,
our job is that you don't notice.
That's just it. They're not made to be the focus of the shot. Luna's the focus.
True, indeed. And the scene at the orphanage with the three little foals, I noticed dust particles in the air, and that looks natural. And oh my, do most animations don't do that anymore?
It usually comes down to the details.
True.
Because you can have the whole picture, but there is a little thing that is rubbing wrong on your eye, and you're like, something is missing here. Then you go into the picture, do a little pick of like dust or a reflection or something, and you're like, that's done. And the picture is huge, and what you just did just took 1 second. It's something like that. It's similar with animation, isn't it?
Something like that. At one point, you're going to notice something doesn't work. You're not really sure why or what. Probably because you spent too much time on it. But, like, let it rest, come back to it the next day, and your chances are you're going to notice it. But yes, sometimes there's just something that doesn't work. You don't know what, you don't know how. And the moment you notice it, then all you do is notice that. And chances are you're going to notice it and know what to do to correct it, or you're just going to leave it there and hope nobody else notices.
For a fan-made video, this is really top quality. I would compare this to, remember in the old days when the intro for cartoons were really good and the cartoon itself was really bad?
Yes.
It was. It's something like that.
You know, I will use the term fan-made quite charitably, because this is made by fans, but it looks like something that a film studio will put together and then present it to the Academy Awards. I mean,
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
but Xavier Spark said it better than anyone, because when the video was released, he said on Twitter, at this point, this community is putting together things that are worthy of an Academy Award. It's like, if you don't do something and you win an Oscar for it, you're nothing. So it's like, to me, this is one of those landmarks that says, this is how far we reached in the fandom. Look at the quality of our animation. And I don't mean just you, I mean in general. There's so much talent.
True.
There's so many things that have been done, yes, that are just mind-blowing.
I mean,
just in our fandom, compared to other fandoms, I've been in, 2 majors, including this one, and very little was done in the previous fandom. I used to be an avid fan of Kim Possible, and I did some music videos back then, of course, and as far as I know, I was the only one that had created original content for my videos. I had animated bits and pieces left and right. I used an audio clip from Ron Stoppable, saying, "What's this itch?" and animated it in the same way that Kim was animated at the end of that intro. So it's something that I have done before, but never to that scale. The Pony community is just incredible in terms of content that's being created. It's mind-boggling. But as far as, going award-winning or Academy and stuff, I'm not sure. We happen to love the show and the what was created enough to feel motivated long enough to do something like this. To me, it was quite a challenge.
It's definitely all thanks to the design of the show. I mean, it's so accessible, and I don't mean to say it's simple, because it looks simple, but then it has a lot of depth to it. But it's so accessible that it allows you to be very creative and very inventive with the things that you come up with, and that has shown in the fandom. The same with me. I mean, I was part of the furry fandom for a long time, and I haven't seen so much creativity in 10 years of being in the furry fandom. After 3 years of being in the brony fandom, I'm like, whoa, mind-blowing. This is amazing.
That is true. I've come from the same fandom that Lion was, the Kim Possible fandom, and like I've seen a lot of things come and go, and this brony fandom, it's really, really way out there, because let's take an example of Naruto. It's 10 years already since it first came out, and
something like that. Yeah,
I don't see the level of dedication that the fan has to make original soundtrack, art. There's a lot, but to saying that original videos, let's just say that it's not well known. It's not put out there like how Brony is, or it could be that I'm very narrow-minded on this point. But to say, I don't know. I haven't seen anything from like Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, whatever's out there. Do you guys think that it could be because of the show creator interacting with us?
Probably that has something to do, but the thing is that the pony phenomenon, it's a phenomenon for a reason. Recently, it has been landmarked as subculture. It's not a fandom anymore, it's a subculture, because the fans have created such a huge amount of content, it has reached the next landmark in definition. So we are officially a subculture, just like a Star Wars or a Star Trek.
Yeah, pretty much like both of what she just mentioned. The show left a lot of doors open, and that spurred the imagination and creativity of a lot of people. You didn't know, or we still don't know, the exact circumstances, say, of Nightmare Moon's arise, or how Discord came into being. For example, there are so many unknowns, and yet it's so entrancing. You want to know more, and what do? You fill in the blanks. You go further, and you create your own content thanks to that. Even, I don't want to be too bold, but even our little video already spurred some extra content. Some people want to know more, and that's something that, I haven't seen happen to many fan works before, if at all, and that show really does that well, even better than we could ever do, just spurring the imagination. Or stirring, I should say.
That is the perfect word to define it. It stirs the imagination, because your video is basically an animated headcanon that fills in the gap to why Luna was banished to the moon. I mean, like you said, I haven't seen any other show doing something like that.
I don't think there has been any.
I don't think so either. Well, we offer one explanation,
but
not the explanation.
Like, we have to take in account that we are in a moment in time, and where we have a series of tools and advantages that were never seen before. We have animations that were at our reach. We have an entire animation studio in a single computer, and that didn't exist before. So it's a completely new phenomenon.
And it's only a matter of time before someone decides to take something else. Like, we took a long time to make our video, and we're just two people. I remember, if I may just go off topic a little bit, right after seeing The Hunchback of Notre Dame, I saw some kind of a making of, or a little documentary about it, and someone said in there, if one person was to be taken and do all that movie on its own, it would take 500 years to do. So, if someone could live that long, it's only a matter of time. But again, it's something that we can do now. Everything, we have a studio in one room with one machine. It's going to take time, but something can be done with it.
True.
Technology has caught up with our creativity. Now it's easier. I mean, for those who know how to, it's easier to put your thoughts and your ideas on the paper, as so to speak, John Delancey said during one of his panels that right now you don't need anybody but yourself to make something, to create something. And he's kind of right. Because of what you said. You have a studio inside your computer. That's what you need. All you need is a good idea.
You still need to pair up with people. You need to team up. And we recommend anybody who wants to do an animation project to make a little team and to make friends along the way. But in terms of technology, it's something that has never seen. This has never been seen before. It's entirely new. I mean, 10 years ago, if you wanted to make an animation, you had to ship the darn cell shades to the darn cells to Korea to get painted there.
Yeah, you took the layouts and shipped them there. Well, 10 years ago, no.
Well, actually,
10 years ago, more like 20. Let's
20
say.
years ago.
10 years ago, I was still in my apartment doing my little demo.
Okay, but say that to get actually feature animation quality, you still relied on cells.
Yeah, still relied on.
The only ones that had a computerized software for animation, that was Disney.
At the time, Disney and Pixar.
Disney and Pixar, which used CAPS back in the day.
Well, no, the Pixar had Toy Story already out at the time, and was probably working on their second movie. I think whether it was Bug Life or Ants. I don't remember which one.
Bugs Life.
Well, the point is that
one right there. Anyway,
there's been a technology revolution, and it's affected the content that the fans are creating. And the My Little Pony is an explosion. It has never been done before.
James, you got anything?
I completely run out of anything else to ask. At least not that I can think of right now. But I mean, yes, wow, amazed. I'm blown away. I'm so happy that you guys managed to pull it off, because the last time I heard about the project was literally a year ago when I saw the animatic, and then I didn't hear anything about it. Actually, you know what? That's a good question. When did you decide to keep it so kind of like in secrecy and not like keep advertising it like it's coming, we're doing this, we're doing that, just to keep it kind of like in secret? When did you decide to keep it like that?
I don't think we ever really made that decision. The goal originally was to just create something that we could show the process of. To elaborate on the story, Spirit and I went to the Ottawa International Animation Festival. I think it was in 2011.
Correct.
And we went there to try and get our foot into the animation industry. So we had our portfolio, we had our little DVD portfolio and that kind of stuff, and we looked around to see how other people were doing their own craft and, you know, what programs were. Anyway, and when we went to the interviews, we were told that we didn't have enough material to show. One of which was an actual animation reel demo, which showed what we could do and, you know, the extent of our knowledge in terms of animation. So when we got back home, we tried to find ways to do that, to express and to show what we could do. Eventually, Spirit managed to find work, and that kind of put a little damper on our things. And when we were finally back together, because she went away to work and I just followed her in, we started on Children of the Night, and in the prospect of making it how to make a video to show what we knew, and in the end show what we could do with the end result. So we had this little animatic thing. We had our storyboards, and then we had the animatic, and we decided to show that, and then we started the blog and just added on.
We just posted the animatic, and I don't know what the hell happened, but we exploded. YouTube exploded all of a sudden. Those thousands and thousands of views. We couldn't have predicted the result at all.
No.
And the thing that we didn't promote the project is because it was something doing for the internet. It was for our portfolio mostly. It's not a secret when we were going to release. However, if we would have promoted the project as more officially a Funimation than anything else, we could encounter a problem, and that's the fans demanding the final product.
The pressure.
Are we there yet? I swear I will turn this damn camera around. And it's that situation of the fans demanding. It's normal. I mean, you promise something, you don't give a release date, they want a release date, you cannot fulfill their expectations, they get angry at you, and it can turn bad pretty fast. So we decided to simply, okay, here is what we are doing. You can follow the progress in the blog, and as soon as we finished it, okay, back it up to YouTube now. No warning.
That's done because the animatic, we never knew the explosion that happened. We didn't expect a hype at all. That was, our personal project. We wanted something to do, and by having an animatic out, we managed to show what we were doing. And by keeping a blog and keeping tabs on what we were doing as well, we were keeping a tab on the production. It was like a little making of. Mm. So if a studio or a potential hiring place was to look at that, well, yeah, they kind of know their stuff. So that's why. But eventually, thanks to the self-created hype, I should say, the project itself had a life of its own. And instead of feeding the blog with what we were doing, we were basically just telling the fans, yes, we're going ahead. Something is being done. Look, it's moving forward. And it became a little monster.
Yeah, we couldn't feed it enough. Please show us more about the project. No, don't show us anything. That's a spoiler. We didn't know what to do.
No, so we were basically taking baby steps up until we knew, okay, that was wrong. Let's not do that again. Oh, that was right. Let's do more of that.
So you basically need to know about everything when it comes to this. You need to be part animator, part personal relationships, part
something like that. Yes.
Publicist, part
I think
you have to wear so many hats. It's incredible.
Yeah, but we managed.
Yeah.
I think what you did best was did it like Blizzard. It's done when it's done.
Well, we didn't have very much of a choice. It was our own personal project. We didn't know when we would be done with it. The goal was to get it done as best as we could, but in the end, it was sucking up so much of our energy. We just decided, okay, we have something that looks good, and then let's go ahead, because we can't keep doing this. We just can't keep tweaking and trying new stuff and adding to it. We just have to call it done.
Try to animate 13 folds at 40 degrees Celsius.
Oh my.
Something like that, yes.
Oh.
It's like Brad said at one point, just you want to tinker with a tinker, and then suddenly you have the hand that comes down and schlack, it's done. You have to call it quits at one point. You have to just say stop, it's done at one point. Yeah. You want to make it good. I still see things that I could have done better, but at the time, I was either out of energy, or I just wanted to move on.
Well, guys, after more than 600,000 views and 35,000 thumbs up on YouTube, I think all those arduous times and those hard times and those times where you were like, oh, I want to give up, I think it's been all more than worth it.
True indeed.
Thank you so much. It's been a road.
Yeah, it's a road that I'm glad I can say I came out the other end of.
Yeah.
Despite the self-hated hype.
Oh,
you guys came out on top, and you did great.
This may be a bad joke, but if you guys would like to rework on this, maybe you should do what George Lucas did, add in some 3Ds, add in some background.
We don't mention that one who had not been named.
I'm sorry. It was just a bad joke.
I'm going to just go like this and say, if we could just modify the YouTube upload, there are some mistakes that would have probably have been corrected already, but YouTube does not work like Divine Art, so we can just decide to upload a new version with corrected things on it.
As far as we know.
As far as we know, anyway. But in the end, I mean, why change what has been accepted right now?
True, indeed.
The worst complaint, I think, is the voice crack, which is not a voice crack at all, in fact, but that's the worst complaint of it, and we're not responsible for that. We're not just about to go to Kate and say, can you redo this? No, it kind of seems iffy. I'm not a singer.
Kate the Great, you have recorded this song 4 years ago, before you knew about us, and you didn't did it for us at all, but
redo it,
our
please.
fans are protesting. Will you please re-record?
Yeah, I don't know anything about singing, but, girl, it seems to me like,
we don't know a squat about music or your craft and how busy you are. We don't care. We want you to do it for free. No.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work like that. No, not only is it a huge lack of disrespect, but I'm not about to tell someone who knows how to do her job how to do her job, because I'm not the one that's doing it. I'm not a singer.
True,
or, a musical producer or that kind of thing.
Or an audio director.
An audio director. No, I'm not.
So, to just let the people at home know, the song was done 4 years before this project started?
Yes.
Way before it. Yes, it was recorded on 2009.
Wow.
Something like that. And it was a totally personal project from Kate the Great. I happened to stumble upon that cover and fell in love with it. And in the time, I started to relate it to Luna. And when I saw her speaking in that ancient English mannerism in the season 2, it was unavoidable. I had to do this.
Yeah, I pulled up the video. The song was uploaded on October 27th, 2009.
Yeah.
I think when people complain about her voice crack, they didn't realize that the song was done 4 years ago. I think what people has been expecting in our current day and age is most of the songs sang were perfect. Like, take Ali Monty's voice, for example. She sang for a lot of videos. She sang for a lot of covers. I mean, if you want to go with other people like Brie or Rina Chan, you could use them, but you wanted to use this song. I don't know. I mean,
I thought it was perfect as it was. It sounded so much like Luna, and there was no instrumental version of the song. So I took a chance and asked Kate for permission, and she granted us permission for the video. It was so nice from her.
Did we know Ali Monty or just anybody else at the time when we started?
That's another thing. We had no idea that the fandom had voice actors of their own.
Well, of that caliber anyway. And besides, even if after the fact we would have asked somebody else to sing it, chances are it would have thrown off every timing that we had already worked on for just about all of the video. So that would have been a huge setback.
Here's an interesting question. Knowing what you know now about the fandom, would you have asked somebody in the fandom to make the song and sing it for you?
Actually, we will soon.
Ooh, that's interesting.
That's for the Spanish version, yes. But if I had to go back to the English version, I don't think we're going to.
Well, we have two things in our hands right now. The Spanish version is one. And we have been super lucky. Well, I have been super lucky. I'm in charge for the development of the Spanish version of Children of the Night. I have the singer that I always wanted.
Oh my.
And I have an amazing musician working for the score, redoing the song so our singer can sing it. And it's someone that I have known for 10 years now.
Ooh.
It's Maria who is going to sing. She is an actress, a professional voice actress in Spain.
Ooh.
She has starred as protagonist in so many musicals. She's a professional singer. And I really think she has been looking forward to do a Kate the Great cover for 5 years. And now it's her chance. I couldn't be happier about my singer and the musician.
I'll have to change the credits for the Spanish version.
Yeah.
Hype.
I am.
I'm not sure that's hype. This one was a request. It's one of the few requests that we accepted to do.
I'm a bit speechless right now. Let me get this straight. A professional voice actress wanted to cover this. She saw this and she wanted to do it?
No, I have been friends with this person for 10 years. Okay. And I promised that way back, 10 years ago, she wanted to be a voice actress and I wanted to be an animator. And I told her, one day, I will demand you to do voice acting over one of my animations.
Ask you kindly, not demand.
Well, I actually demanded her, if you don't do it, no one will. And I put her in that situation. I actually asked her very kindly, and I begged her for helping me on this one. Please, it has to be you. It has to be you. I don't give orders to anybody, actually. And she accepted, and I'm so happy about that. I cannot tell you.
Have she seen the video yet?
Yep.
Oh yes, she has. And the video hooked her into the series. That's what I talked to you about before, about suckering my friends into the world.
Welcome to the herd.
Wow, awesome. Talking about people in high places, who else has seen this video besides your friend and anybody else? Has anybody in the industry seen it yet?
Maybe.
Well,
we don't know. How should we know?
I do know. That's the thing. I'm debating whether to tell it or not. Seeing as I have worked on the documentary, I sent the video to Michael Brockhoff, the producer of the documentary, and he liked it. He even tweeted it for some reason. I'm not sure
That's when he was gonna I was going to ask that if you showed it to any of the showrunners or if, if they checked it out.
I'm still okay. Do we have a coin? I'll try and figure it on the coin here.
Yeah.
Okay. Heads I tell, face, heads I tell.
And tails we don't.
Tails we don't. Okay.
And tails we
No.
don't.
Sorry.
Oh, too bad. But I do know one thing that I heard this story from Bronyville, I think. There's a person from the show or who works on the show who says that who told them that I think the phrase was something like this: "Wow, you guys are amazing. This video is really good."
We have no idea about that. It's the first time that we hear this. Actually.
Yeah, so people from the show. I haven't had a mail from people of the show
Yeah.
or
any
heard
kind
about
of
it
monk.
really. I think the review that got me the most attention, because yes, there are reviews online. For some reason, I happened upon one that was on a screw attack.
Really?
And
Yeah.
yes, we have a review of Children of the Night that has appeared on Screw Attack. And it's, at first, well, okay, he's just showing the video on the side, and then suddenly he starts speaking, and it got me to laugh so hard. It just went, oh my god, look at this scene, and this other scene, and this scene, it's beautiful. And then there's like intermission, liquid pride moment.
No, but
There's
seriously.
another one that popped on YouTube that is hilarious. It's from Carbon Reacts.
Oh yeah, Carbon,
And
yeah.
everything that is strange or poorly planned in our video, he brought up. That was hilarious. Like when the moonlight enters into Moon Dancer's house. Turn the third light off!
You hear a voice in the background really far, turn that line spotlight on. Oh yeah, there are some very fun reacts on there. There are some very fair reviews online. When we saw the first review, we just went nuts and tried to find out who did the next review. And some are fair, some don't understand. But I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Of course, we're going to concentrate more on the fun ones than the ones that kind of, don't feel as nice. But
Of course.
some are harsh but fair, and some are fun. Others just poke fun at us, and others just don't understand. It's a mixed bag, really.
Just like the internet.
Indeed.
Yep.
But seriously,
The interwebs.
no. But seriously, I keep looking at this, and let's just say that I keep repeating the same scene over and over again, and I can't see any fault. Like, this is, in my opinion, perfect.
No, it's
Thank
not.
you so much, but it has defects. We
Oh, yeah.
know them because we have been watching this frame by frame, forward and backward for a year. So to us, it's a backstabbing, painful fault, but to you, maybe it's not there.
Yeah,
So some we don't notice. After a while, you kind of get, pardon the term, but drunk on the work you're doing. You don't see the mistakes. You just I'm working, yes. And then when you come back the next morning, you say, "Oh my God, what did I do?"
No, I understand. And honestly speaking, this video that you made, even though it's a 4-minute video, is the most amazing 4-minute video I've ever seen in fandom. Not to compare you guys, like Gen Animation did his thing, and it was show accurate. That was cool. What you guys did, 4 minutes video, is cool, but two totally different things. It's not fair to compare, but my goodness, the internet. What do you guys use? Like, what do you guys do? What black magic do you use? Are you wizards?
No, we are far from being wizards. Actually, I am being trained into the basics of animation once again, and the animation has been so kind to help in my training. I am so very grateful for that. He's been
John's
so
a real
generous.
awesome guy. We met him. Well, I met him when I worked on the Brony documentary, and then introduced him to my wife because he knew that she was better with colors when I told him, and he went to her for a lot of color advice. And ever since then, we've been like great pals, all the three of us. He even shared a few things with us at one point, especially from the documentary. It was really great.
So that's it. We are not wizards. For whatever we did, we had to work our backs off.
Well, we are a
And we
very
still
limited
are.
team.
And the next project will be even tougher.
Oh my.
Well, not
Well,
actually.
next project, future, there's an S project.
It will be eventual.
You know
I said
what they
nothing.
You know what they say, that if it's not difficult and it's not hard, then it means it's not worth it.
Indeed.
Probably you're right.
Sometimes you have to have some fun. Hard things sometimes are fun, but sometimes you kind of need to relax and enjoy life a little bit.
True,
Of course.
true. Here's something interesting. I've been in chat with Lion for a while, and he recommended me a fanfic called what was it again? Oh boy, the Sun and Her Little Sparkle. I've read it, and it was really good. And there's something interesting here. From this writer, I see Children of the Night. Is it related?
Yes, it is.
Oh my!
It's the dark something guy that does your Children of the Night.
It's being written. Actually, I have a writer in fanfiction that it's taking care of the story. I give him pointers. I explain him the characters. I will eventually do concept drawings for illustrating the fanfic, and it's the official version. The name of the author is Dark0592. And there are 2 chapters out already.
Actually,
Including,
three,
well,
including
prologue and 2 chapters.
Yep.
And his writing is really good. And for you guys out there, do read it. Especially The Sun and Her... What was it again? The Sun and Her Little Sparkle. It's really good. It's really good. And I think I might be reading Children of the Night soon enough.
She's doing a great job portraying the characters that I imagine. It's coming out very, very nicely. I have to talk with him soon enough about that,
Her,
the
him?
progress. Him.
Okay.
Him.
You said her at first. Okay.
Sorry.
It's okay.
English, please.
It's okay. It's okay. I don't know. I could just gush all over Children of the Night right now and just say how amazing it is, but I think I've already proven that by gushing all over it already.
Thanks so much. Do you have any questions concerning the story?
You mean the fanfic?
Well, yes, about what will happen or what had happened before.
So, okay, here's an interesting one that I just thought of. The fanfic, will it relate or will it fill in the blanks that Children of the Night, the video, has shown? Or basically, will it fill in the blanks?
Yes, it will.
Oh.
If by blanks you mean why those children decided to follow Luna, it will fill the blanks. What happened to the children after they were taken away from Canterlot, it will fill the blanks. And it will give you a good insight of the world of those children and the lives of those children afterwards.
I'm not sure if you know anything about this, but each chapter, does it involve all the 12 children, or one chapter per children, or...?
It depends on the chapter. It's a fanfic that is character-driven. So some chapters center in one children more than the other. But the initial chapters center about the 12 of them, and you start meeting the 12 children and 12 different personalities.
Okay, I thought it would be like one chapter concentrating on one children, and if that's the case, that would be really interesting. And it feels...
At the start, it would be a very bad move at the start. You kind of have to introduce those with whom you're going to work, unless, of course, they are gradually introduced. But in this case, they're all 12 of them are together to start with.
The first chapter, if I recall correctly, was the relationship that Luna had with the children and how Celestia came in and caused the conflict that sent Luna to the moon, and how did those children get away from Celestia and where did they went afterwards.
I see.
It's the setting of the story.
I have to link this because this is a really interesting fanfic that really works well with the video that you did.
Thanks so much.
It's not complete yet, but soon enough, at one point.
True, it will be completed soon, but seriously, it's a fanfic. You don't complain, you just read.
Oh, that's a new concept.
Yeah, let heaven hear his words.
If you want to complain, don't read it. No, but seriously, you guys did an amazing job. There's one thing I want to try, but I forgot to do, is just show my friends who are not bronies and just show them your video. I want to know what's their reaction. I got 2, and both of them said that it was really good.
Wow, thanks.
Why? Sorry?
I have something to add to that because I showed my sister the video. She is kind of a brownie. She loves Pinkie Pie and Sakura. She watches the show with me. She's catching up with season 3, but she doesn't follow any of the fun stuff because she's into other fandoms more, like Game of Thrones or Hannibal. So, but I decided to show her Children of the Night because I'm like, you need to watch this. This is like the best animation this show has ever produced. And she liked it so much that every night before going to bed, she watches it.
Oh my.
Really?
Yeah, she's like,
Wow.
really, because she's like, this video defines me so well because I too am a Children of the Night.
Aww. So she will have followed Luna?
Definitely, because she loves Luna, and one thing she says is that after watching this video, I really hate Celestia because she's going to do something. I don't trust her, and I'm like, oh wow, okay. She's not the biggest Celestia fan.
It's not bad. She just she's doing the right
Celestia
thing.
is just as bad as you want to see her in that video, and Luna is just as good as you want to see her in the video. Neither of them are wrong, but if she decides that she likes it that way, it's her own interpretation, and be blessed.
Yep.
I like Celestia, but my sister, after what happened in the Canterlot wedding when Celestia ditched Twilight, she hasn't forgiven Celestia for that yet.
Oh my, really now?
She's still angry.
Wow.
As we said, Celestia is not perfect either.
Yep.
Yeah, she's flawed. That's why we like her.
I think you should ask your sister to read The Sun and Her Little Sparkle. That will change her perspective on Celestia.
No, I know exactly what's going to change her perspective because we have yet to watch the season 3 finale.
Oh.
And I know for sure she's going to cry at the Celestia ballad.
Oh, okay.
I know that. And she's going to be like, oh, I hate you. Now I like Celestia again. I guarantee.
Actually, I don't know if you know that, but I have something on the back burner right now, which is called Heaven's Light.
Ooh.
And it's all about Celestia.
Ooh, that's interesting.
No, it's not all about Celestia.
Well, it's
more
half about Celestia. It's more
Yes.
about Discord, of course, but it has
There we
Celestia
go.
in it, so
Yes, but don't lie to the people.
I'm not lying. I'm just telling my convenience.
So, if I remember right, I seen the animatics for Heaven's Light, and the singer for that song, he really sounds familiar. If I'm not mistaken, that's Mando Pony, right?
That is correct.
Ah.
It's Mando, effectively. However, that project will change a lot in the following months. The thing is going to be redone from scratch. The singing will be the same. What you will see in the screen will not match anymore.
So anyway, I think we ran out of questions to ask because, like, wow, it's almost an hour, 2 hours and a half. Damn, we talked for so long.
You'll have a bit of editing to do. But
I know.
Thanks for having us. It was really great.
Oh, no problem.
No problem.
No problem. It was my pleasure to interview you guys. So I'm going to try and end this professionally because people would not know what happened. So anyway, that was duo cartoonist Lionheart Cartoon and Spirit. Thanks for being on. And where can they find you guys?
Well, first of all, thank you. We're very glad to be there. And we both have a DeviantArt account. Spirit has hers, which is Animados on DeviantArt, and I have mine, which is Lionheart Cartoon. And while we do share both the same YouTube channel, I still have mine, which doesn't have videos right now, but you can still look it up at the Lionheart Cartoon on YouTube.
Ah, okay, that's cool. So, do you guys have Twitter or anything like that?
I don't use Twitter for tweeting really as much as getting information, but I do have a Twitter, yes. It's at rsilwa. It's my first letter of my name with the rest of my family name.
Oh, okay.
Cute, but you probably won't get many tweets from me.
Okay, so I'll
I'm
just...
not much for social media myself.
Oh, it's cool. If I can't find it, it won't be in the show notes.
All right.
So anyway, that was Duo Cartoonist, the people who created Children of the Night. It's a very amazing video. Go watch it 15 more times. Go like it and give it thumbs up. It's really awesome. So
show it to your family and tell them to also favorite it and show it to their friends and then their friends' family. Just show it to everybody.
Indeed.
The cat, the dog, the bird.
Everyone has to watch it. Yeah, make a YouTube account for the bird so the bird can like it too.
So anyway, let's move on to the next topic, and the next topic is shoutouts. And my first shoutout goes to you guys. Thank you for coming on to the show, guys. You have been really great guests and really understanding with all the dubs that have been going on.
No problem. We know what is to have a technical issue.
Mistakes happen, don't worry about it. But in terms of shout-out, I mean, the fans, the complete fandom of the Bronies, be it that they liked it or not, they helped make this possible. While we didn't expect the hype that it got, chances are we wouldn't have made it this far if it wasn't for them. The views and the comments and everything that they did, it's just spectacular. The support that they gave us, all of those that stuck with us in the blog. I wish I could name them all, but we'd still be here tomorrow.
Oh my.
Nevertheless, it's been really great. It's been a tough journey, but one that I'm glad I came out of with the other end.
Awesome.
Do you have anything to say, Sweets?
Thanks to everyone. I said it in the video, I will say it again.
I know, but maybe you wanted to have a shout-out that was more vocal.
Thanks to everyone, like I mentioned in the video. Thanks to every single friend that gave pointers. And without the fans, actually, this would have been impossible. Like Lion said, the support was essential. It was what fueled us to finish this thing.
Mm-hmm. Fans like you guys.
Oh, no problem. It was my pleasure to talk to you and to watch that video. I think it's a privilege to watch that video, actually.
That's giving us way too much credit.
Oh, you want me to bring you down a notch? I can do it. Just kidding around. And also another shout out I have to give is to James. Thank you for being on, and thank you for being my backup, man.
No, thank you for bringing me here. I mean, I am so privileged for being here talking with Lion and Spirit. I mean, I feel so special to be able to talk with such talented artists and content creators, and like, this is so awesome. So, no, thank you, Norman, for bringing me here for this podcast.
No problem. Yeah, it's my pleasure, really. It's, well, this is going to be a thank you circle. James, do you have any shout-outs to give out to?
Besides giving a shout-out to everyone who is in this podcast except me, I would like to give a shout-out to my good old friend Sketchy from Everfree Network, because he is an absolute pro, one of the most humble persons I have ever met in my life, and he's so happy with his new mandolin that he just got on the mail. Oh. And I also wanted to give a shout out to my good old friend Jay Van Sbroek, who just came back from BronyCon after almost selling out of prints and managing to completely erase his debt. Like, he was like with a debt to his neck, and he managed to get rid of that. So my shout out goes to him as well.
Oh, that's awesome. So anyway, if you have any questions, concerns, or suggestions for the show, you can contact us at mbsshow.com. And if you'd like to email me personally, you can reach me at norman@mbsshow.com and Daniel at daniel@mbsshow.com. So, James, if anybody wants to email you personally, could they do it?
They can contact me on Twitter at James _Cork on Twitter, or they can check my DeviantArt at jamescork.deviantart.com. I am James Cork everywhere, so just browse me on Google and something will come up.
Okay, awesome. And also you can reach us on Twitter. The show's Twitter account is at MBS Show. It's full of updates about the show and stuff. SweetieBot controls it, I don't know. And with me at Norman Sanzo, I post about toys, food, and stuff. Usually food. I take pictures of food. If you want to go hungry, watch me. And also, Dan, that's at Saint Pinky. If you want to feel good about yourself, go watch him. So anyway, and also please subscribe and rate us on iTunes, and also Stitcher Radio, and also like our Facebook page. Links will be provided in the show notes. So I have been Norman Sanzo.
I have been Jaime Cork.
My name is Lion.
Spirit!
And we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody!
So long.
Guide me home. Luna, won't you calm my fears? this alone I pray to Princess, I don't know what to do. Won't you tell me how to break the spell? The darkness ever present in my mind. Are the shadows alive? I can't tell. Are there puzzle pieces I am meant to find? Never felt so helpless nor so trapped. I can't escape, I'm drowning until I look up in the sky enraptured. For you have found me. And this night I know I'm by your side. And this night I know I don't have to hide. Luna, you have guided me home. Luna, you have calmed my fears. Princess, I give my thanks to you. Princess, I give my thanks to you. To you.
He's there, potato.
Your English is awesome, by the way, I
Yes,
have to say.
indeed.
And I know nothing about English. I'm Spanish too, but yeah, great English. Sorry.
I'm Asian, and I can understand what you're saying.
There is not a single English person in this conversation. We all speak English.
I was going to point that out. There's not a single English native here.
No,
so
there's a French
why the
Canadian,
hell we
2
care?
Spaniards, and a Malaysian. You know, it's what English? You know, it's, let's speak
Yeah.
English.
No,
Because English is the easiest language in the planet. And we are all lazy.
Most people are
Indeed.
listening, so